Hi guys. Okay, advanced art. Just a reminder, your fashion design thumbnails and final sketches are due today. These are summative tasks. You need to upload them onto Otis underneath assessments, and I specifically covered how to do that in yesterday's video. Today we're starting something new. I'm introducing the art element of space. Space is actually one of the most advanced ones because with space, it really is how do we make things look 3D even when we're painting flat? And then we're going to be moving forward into building our skills so that eventually we're going to be looking at 1 and 2 point perspectives. So with space, I had you just do a quick art opener, draw what you think space is. A lot of you guys drew space, like outer space, but some not. So then if you're looking at the different things with space, this picture is a good description of what space is. So you can see, this always makes me hungry, the front of the ice cream cones, which are in full focus, but then you can tell the person is in back and they're blurry. So this is because in photography, it's not like our eye. In our eye, we can actually see things up close and far away. And we can go back and forth very quickly. But if you look, just like if I'm focusing at the screen right here, the stuff in the outside is blurry. If I'm focusing on my wall over there, this part is blurry. But our eyes are able to go back and forth very quickly. And when you're taking photos, it can't do that. It has to do one or the other. So it's either going to snap your shot and focus up front or behind. And that's because you can't, in a photo, with a camera, it cannot jump back and forth with it because of the space. Some things are a way farther distance and either needs to focus on that, or some things are up close. So that's what we're going to look at. So by definition, space is the positive and negative areas in an object, or a sense of depth is achieved in a work of art. So you'll go ahead and write that down, and I'm going to go quicker in this video, but you can go back through because all of this is linked in my Bitmoji classroom in the links for the day. And what do I mean by positive and negative space? Well, if you're looking at this chair right here, positive is the actual object. So this is a black chair, and this would be the part I could feel. Like, for instance, this. Let me see if I have something kind of that works. Well, I like to say this, okay? The positive space, a lot of times we do this signal. So the positive is actually my hands itself and the outline, this part of it that makes up the heart. The negative is the part that's left behind, which would be inside. The space inside of the heart is the negative space that's cut out from behind. And so that's positive and negative. So in this chair, the positive would actually be the chair. The negative space would be the space in between the slats in the chair. So here's a cool artist. I love Tang Hoon. I love his use of positive negative space because he really makes us kind of question it. So for instance, the obvious on this when you're looking at this piece is that the positive part is this solar system look and the person here, and the negative is this spot left behind. But the question is, what if the paper that he used was like a printed piece of paper that was the galaxy, and he cut away or he painted on top of it the white? And so really then the negative space would be this, but the positive space would be what he applied on top of it, which would be the white. So that's why I like him. He makes you question things. Here's another one, a play on eyes. At first glance, obviously the white around it is all going to be the negative space. And the negative space here is also the building. So you have where it's kind of the buildings goes into the positive space, which is the sky, but then the sky also comes down here and becomes the tree. So positive becomes negative and negative becomes positive. Another one, kind of cool how he blends. This would be the negative space and how it actually comes through and is part of his picture. And you can see he used like cutaway or painting. I'm not sure what he used for this. I think he's a paint artist. And so then he painted this stuff on top, but he had to leave this behind. So he is letting the negative space be part of his artwork. Here's another one. Okay, so this one's a little harder. So positive versus negative. Is it yellow painted on the black? So would yellow be the positive and black be the negative? Or is it black painted on the yellow? So black is the positive and yellow is the negative. It's kind of complicated, right? And a lot of the kids are like, hey, no, it's got to be that the yellow is the negative and the black is the positive. Or they've said the opposite, but it could be either way. It's hard to tell because see how you have this little splattering here? Well, the splattering would make it assume that you're applying that on top, right? Okay, that could happen, but then you also have kind of that stuff here. So it's a very good little thing for you to think of. So he has quite a few. I also like this one right here. This is one where he's got his positive spaces. The buildings is like you're looking at the bottom. Let's say you're like in Manhattan or something and you're looking up. And his negative space is the building's twisted, almost like this is a camera lens, right? The aperture that opens and closes. And it opens up into this spot right here, which is focal point. Actually, this is a 1 point perspective, and we're going to be working on perspectives a little bit later on. So, yeah, there's lots of cool things in here that you can take a look at. So that is the artist and how he uses space. But then more important, here's what we did today. I had you guys draw a a square and then we added stuff onto it. So what I said is there are three terms you really need to know for space: foreground, middle ground, and background. So in a painting, especially a landscape, whatever is the closest to your eyes in the foreground, a lot of times it is bigger than the actual things in the background. In fact, that's how when we're drawing or we're creating art, that's how we can tell that things are farther away is the size. Obviously, in real life, this bear would not be half the size of a mountain, but because he's closer to our eye, he appears bigger. And a lot of times you can even do that by only drawing part of the animal, not the whole animal. So you can see that the animal goes off the page. That's a great technique from an artist in order to lead your eye into the page. He captures your attention and leads you in. So you have this part, then you also have background, which is the farthest thing away from you. So it would be the sky and the clouds. And in the middle ground, there are multiple things usually in a painting. It is anything that is layered in the middle between the foreground and the background. So the mountains are in the middle ground. These foothills are in the middle ground. The shoreline is in it, including this little island and the water. All that stuff would be considered in the middle ground. And the last thing we did then was draw. What does this really look like in 3D? So we're drawing, and this is flat, but we're trying to really think about what does this mimic in real life. So here's what it looks like in real life. If you're to draw a 3D box, and what you're doing then is you have the thing closest to your eye is the foreground. If it's farther back, like you take a step into space, it'd be in the middle ground, and like a farthest wall or something in your house could be the background. So just to draw a quick schematic so you kind of see it in a 3D way. Okay. All right. Tomorrow we're going to go ahead and zoom and I'm going to show you different techniques on how to make space happen in your art. There's a lot of different techniques to display the use of space. All right. Talk to you later. Don't forget to turn in your art today.